Captain's Cast is live. With your host, Captain Garrett. That is, of course, yours truly. Welcome to Swords and Starships. Welcome to the Captain's Cast live stream, live every Sunday and every Thursday. And have you heard the sound, my friends? The sound of freedom. Sound of freedom. I have thoughts on this film. This film, well, let me just tell you, it shocked me. And not in the ways you might expect. It absolutely left me stunned. And it is not at all what the media shill, some of the media shills, I should say. Some of them are being a little more fair than others. But it is not what the media shills think that it is. So we will get into my review of The Sound of Freedom. It has been brought to the captain's attention in the comments, but I need to sit up. I think it was the camera angle was a little weird, so I fixed it. I fixed it for you. We're also going to talk about, the strange immune response that this film, starring Jim Caviezel, The Sound of Freedom, from Angel Studios, talking about really just telling the story of Tim Ballard, who rescues children from child trafficking. The title of this channel is Swords and Starships, right? Which refers to your captain's favorite genres: fantasy, science fiction, historical. But what does a sword really represent? What does a starship represent? Well, I submit to you, they are my favorite genres because they represent freedom. They represent the opportunity to explore strange new horizons, but also to protect those in need of protection. So, Sound of Freedom is very much a Swords and Starships film. It is very much an Iron Age film. And it has humiliated Disney at the box office. So we'll talk about that. Tom is in the chat. Ahoy, sir. Good day, Tom. Welcome. And you have got to see the series of, I'm disappointed, quite frankly. I wish I had been wrong about this. I heard about this film. It's an independent film, The Sound of Freedom. It's trying to make its way into theaters, competing with all the big box office movies, which are theoretically Dial of Destiny and The Flash. And it kind of came out of nowhere for me. It's just totally word of mouth. And my first thought, and I'm very sad that I had this first thought, I said, the wokies are going to hate this movie. They are going to hate it. And then I thought, wait a minute. How can I think that? Surely exceptions can be made for certain subjects. Surely there's one thing that can unite us. And that is protecting the innocent, protecting the most innocent children. I wish I'd been wrong. I wish I had been wrong that there would be articles attacking this film. But I'm going to tell you right now, they've stepped at it because your captain saw the film yesterday, and the immune response is a big misfire. It is a big misfire. Silverback is in the chat. Ahoy! Permission to come aboard. Granted, sir. I've also been watching more SG-1. Maybe we'll talk about Stargate. And, the time has come for the stewards of these failing properties to now beg forgiveness from the fans. Lucasfilm, the Hollywood actors, the time has come that they are now starting to beg for our forgiveness. Now, I'm big on forgiveness when it is sincere, but I think what happened is they saw what Tom Cruise did quite organically, which is to just simply thank his audience for coming to a film, Top Gun Maverick. Well, now all the phony Hollywood people are jumping on this bandwagon. Well, that must be what it is. They just want to see a thank you message. So I'll show you some of the more pathetic attempts coming up. And Katie Sackhoff had an interesting insight about the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian. So we'll talk about that as well. So why don't we just get into it? Now, The Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel, directed by Alejandro Monteverde. You know, I went into this film thinking, I hope that it's good. I hope that it's good because it's about something important. It's, you know, it's an indie film that is trying to tell a moral tale about a real life man who is rescuing children from child trafficking. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm behind it. That being said, I knew nothing about the film. I knew nothing about, you know, look, I've said this before. I don't like propaganda storytelling. I don't like it, even when it's in service of my own worldview. So even though the intentions might have been laudable behind this film, if it was still not a very well-made film and was mostly just a bunch of propaganda or just a kind of shameless revenge fantasy, I would have been disappointed. I would have been very disappointed. So what I was hoping is it would be a good, maybe even great kind of revenge fantasy kind of film, or just a really great, you know, I say get the bad guys kind of film. You know what I mean? Or even just a great film to earn that $14 million in theaters that they got on Independence Day. Well, it turns out this film is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. It is one of the best films I have ever seen. And your captain would never say that lightly. I was absolutely stunned. This film was not at all what I expected on so many different levels. It was excellently made. This was film level craftsmanship all the way through and through. It sort of makes up for all the garbage I've had to sift through over the past few weeks. Oh my God, The Flash, Dial of Destiny, Secret Invasion, The Witcher. I mean, I literally have felt my IQ points dropping over the last couple of weeks, and it's been scaring me a little bit, to be quite frank. But you know what? It's like everything has been, you know, the meter, the intelligence meter has been refilled to maximum after seeing a film with exceptional direction, exceptional cinematography, well acted by every single actor in it, profoundly powerful, profoundly emotional, a musical score that is absolutely haunting, beautiful, incredible, and a motivation behind this film that is as laudable and should be universally praiseworthy as I can imagine. This is not a propaganda film. This is not a conservative film. This is not a political or partisan film. It's not a conspiracy theory fantasy. It is grounded. It is sober. It is written like... You know what it reminds me a lot of, actually? There is a film I think is almost a perfect kind of analog to this film, and that is Argo. If you've ever seen Argo with Ben Affleck, it's about the operation to extract the Iranian hostages during the Iran hostage crisis. And it is just, you are on the edge of your seat the entire movie. It's about a real world event. It's not some kind of over the top action movie. It's just a very straightforward, very well told thriller about something that really happened. And you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time. That is exactly what this film is like. There is nothing over the top about it. And the reason I say that is, I make such a point of that, is that if these media, let's just say it, assholes, would just actually watch the film, they would see that there is nothing on the level of QAnon in this movie. There's no ridiculous, there's no crazy, Sylvester Stallone, with the chain gun just mowing down all the child predators, Not that I wouldn't have minded that. Don't get me wrong. That would have been nice to see. Actually, I was kind of hoping. I was like, okay, is this the part where they're going to up against the wall? Unfortunately, the film is a little bit more sober and grounded than that. But it is no less rewarding to watch for that. So if they would just take the time to watch this film which tells me a lot of these hit pieces, they haven't seen this movie. And if they've seen it, they're so just weighed down by their dogged, dogmatic, narrow-minded worldview that they just can't allow themselves to like this film. I got proof of this. There's a couple, mainstream media types that begrudgingly admit it's not terrible. Damn it. Damn it. Why can't it just be terrible like all things we believe about? Ew, gross, conservatives. It's not a conservative film. I mean, you could watch this movie and you could be almost any part of the political spectrum except woke, because they're insane. You could be almost any part of the political spectrum, watch this movie, and not feel like you're being preached at. Nobody is being guilted here. Nobody is being preached at. There is a touch of this problem is the United States is one of the big sources of this problem, is kind of what the film is positing. So there's a little bit of that. But it's not done in a way of you suck, this is our fault. It's more done in a way of we need to understand this is happening so that we can stop it. But also, if you just put aside the real world implications, the true story, kind of the mission, the movement behind this film, just put all that aside, just looking at it as a film. It is spectacularly well acted. Jim Caviezel's incredible. He has this kind of buddy in the movie played by trying to remember, I got the IMDb in front of me. Bill Camp, I believe it is. Yeah, Bill Camp, who plays Vampiro. And he is an ex-drug cartel member who is reformed. And he is now, he's just devoted his life. He's given up the high life of being a cartel guy living high on the hog. And he is helping free children from child trafficking. He sort of buys them out of slavery and sets them free. And so he kind of partners up with Tim Ballard, who plays a Homeland Security / ex-CIA agent, who I should say is played by Jim Caviezel, who is basically just decided there's this one child that he failed to rescue, and he's just decided he's just going to pull out all the stops and do whatever he has to do, including quit his job, to go save her. And by the way, I mentioned in my last stream that Indiana Jones, when done properly, is a Golden Fleece story. Well, this is an absolutely excellent Golden Fleece story. It really is. And Vampiro and Tim Ballard have this kind of buddy dynamic going on throughout the film that adds levity. It as dark as this film is, it adds a little bit of brightness. It just works really well. I'm kind of amazed that all of the supporting cast, all the bad guys are, they're not. This is the other thing. I'm kind of expecting, this is the kind of bad guy that's very easy to just have be sort of one-dimensional and mustache twirling. And what I liked about it is that the bad guys in this feel like real bad guys. These are real criminals, real evil people doing these things. And it's how it's a little bit more hard to watch because of how real it is. So I thought that was excellent. All the actors in this were incredibly talented. So I mean, that's what strikes me about it. This is not a partisan film. Trying to think of, I kind of thought this was going to be a lot of running and gunning. I mean, I will admit, I wouldn't have minded seeing Tim Ballard go on a kind of Navy SEAL child molester killing spree. That would have been a lot of fun, but it's not that movie. But that being said, he goes on a quest that is so epic. And what I like about his character is that he thinks he has clever tactics. He uses psychology to beat his enemy when he is up against a situation where tactically he's outgunned. There's no way he could succeed. He thinks of another strategy. Actually, your captain is reminded of an even better word than strategy, which is hard to use because it has to be used correctly, and that is stratagem. Tim Ballard uses clever stratagems in this movie to beat the bad guys, and it elevates his character even more than if he were just like a Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger kind of just, bullet hose type character. The fact that he has to be clever and like smile in the face of these, pedophiles it just makes it that much more harrowing. It's like it almost takes more courage as a character to do that than to just unleash violence on them, which is what he wants to do. Because if he does that, he's not going to find the kids. That's basically what it is. If he doesn't play it smart, he's not going to find the kids. Russell Hunter in the chat. Greetings, Russell. Welcome to the Captain's Cast. For anyone just joining, please do like or subscribe. You are watching the Swords and Starships channel, and we are talking about the sound of freedom. By the way, the title is actually mentioned in the context of the film, and I got chills. I got chills when they actually say the title. So Russell says, this movie is doing very well so far. It already made $40 million since its Tuesday debut. Well, thank you for that update, actually. I was looking for box office numbers when I was preparing the stack of stuff, and I wasn't finding what I was looking for. But I have some other things to show you. Sip of coffee for the working man, as Jeremy would say. Not precisely, but you get what I'm saying. So one thing I can tell you. Hang on, let me share this headline. Let me grab this headline for you. And it is glorious. Now, to set this up, keep in mind, this movie was trapped in development hell for like 5 years. Why? Because Fox had the rights to it, and they were dragging their feet on it. Then Disney bought Fox, and they shelved this project. Disney! Now, how is that for irony? They bought this project accidentally, because it just came with the Fox deal, and then they shelved it. No, we're not going to make it. Now, isn't that surprising? I thought Disney was all about the children. They're just not about the children when it's saving them from child trafficking. Well, that's a waste of money. No. Throw $300 million at Kathleen Kennedy for Dial of Destiny and all the marketing that you want. Definitely censor all the posters. Remove all the black faces from the Chinese posters and thank the concentration camps. But a couple million for a movie to raise awareness about child trafficking. Oh, well, no, that just doesn't make correct business sense. It doesn't have a mass market appeal. And so they shelved it. Well, it turns out that when you have a moral purpose behind what you're doing, obstacles like that aren't going to stop you. And so Angel Studios, the filmmakers behind this, they wrested the rights back from Disney. They made this film, and then they promptly humiliated Disney with it. Sound of Freedom beats Indiana Jones in incredible box office coup. This from Culture. Action movie Sound of Freedom has defied expectations at the box office and beaten Harrison Ford's swan song, and what a sad song it was, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The movie centers around the real-life story of the founder of the anti-sex trafficking charity Operation Underground Railroad, Tim Ballard. By the way, I have linked to both Operation Underground Railroad in the description, a very worthy charity, and I have also linked to what was the name of it? It's in the description of the video, but essentially the Pay It Forward. It's the Pay It Forward program where you can buy a ticket for someone who hasn't seen the movie. So those are both linked there. It's seen as a surprise that this relatively small-scale movie outperformed what is seen as the summer blockbuster Indiana Jones on the 4th of July, Independence Day. A date that in the past has been dominated by the likes of Jaws, Forrest Gump, and Top Gun Maverick. The feat of Sound of Freedom beating Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is even more impressive when you consider the numbers behind each movie's release. Which, it's not... adventure is definitely not the right word for Sound of Freedom, but it is a Golden Fleece story, which is what adventure tales are. And there is a very epic quest kind of quality about the film. It's like Tim Ballard is on this epic quest to save he's saving other children as well, but he's in particular, it's this boy in the poster here. It's his sister. He's trying to save her after he saved him. And that's sort of the epic quest that he's on. And so there's an element, ironically, it's more like an Indiana Jones film in the sense of it being a quest for something important and primal than actually Dial of Destiny is. So that's kind of remarkable to me. It's one of I mean this quite seriously. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. I sort of felt that it might be like, it's like watching a war film. It's like watching We Were Soldiers. You're in for something that's going to be tough to watch at parts, and it definitely is. But that being said, I feel like I would never watch We Were Soldiers again. I might watch this one again. I feel like I could just because the characters are so good, and there is just enough levity between Bill Camp and Jim Caviezel's character that Ballard and Vampiro, that they can really they lighten the mood quite a bit at certain parts of the movie when it's desperately needed. So, yeah, here's some highlights for you. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny had a reported budget of up to $295 million, probably more, because we now have evidence that Disney often lies about those numbers. Sound of Freedom, by contrast, directed by Alejandro Monteverde, and what a spectacular director this guy is. Keep an eye on Alejandro Monteverde. This is stone-cold craftsmanship, this film. I mean, it is taut. It is just a perfect pace. None of the characters are outlandish or over the top. You know, the heroes are not, crazy, overhyped type here. You know, Tim Ballard strikes me even though the real guy has Navy SEAL training and CIA background, in the film, he strikes me as very much an everyman. And the villains in this are, it's sort of like if you're watching Schindler's List, the way the Nazis are in a film like that, where it's like, it's actually the banality, the bureaucracy about them that makes it so horrific, because you realize that in real life, evil people are not these mutated monsters you want to imagine they are. It's like they're stunningly banal. The banality of evil, as it were. So, in any case. So it cost $14.5 million to make, right? It's already made that back. On its first day, it basically made back its budget. Now, has Dial of Destiny made back its budget? I suspect not, my dear sailors and star nuts. So it outperformed. Now, I've heard that, but you see, Disney was on its fifth day of the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny release, and so you can't say that. You can't say that it beat Indiana Jones because it's made a lot more money. It's like, on its first holiday weekend opening, there should have been no film that was even close to Indiana Jones. There should have been no film in the box office, period, that could catch Indiana Jones on its fifth day of release on a holiday. Shouldn't have happened. Especially with that budget. The fact that this film was able to do it, humiliation. Humiliation, as Dan Vask would say. While the fifth Indiana Jones movie made $11.6 million, Sound of Freedom made almost its entire budget back, $14.2 on Independence Day. So I find that just excellent. Silverback says, what makes you think We Were Soldiers is not rewatchable? It's a very good movie and rewatchable. It's hard to watch. That's what it is. It's not, I mean, yeah, I'm sure I could probably watch it again. It's been enough years. Dude, it's the napalm scene. Like, once is probably more than my poor soul can handle. It's horrific, that movie. Great film. No disputes there. Great film. And I love war films. There's just some that it's like, it's hard to watch, man. I've watched The Pacific and Band of Brothers multiple times. Love those series. Some of the best miniseries ever made. So what do our friends in the media have to say about Sound of Freedom? Do they like the sound that they're hearing? Let me pull a couple of articles up for you because as I said this before. As the sun rises and sets, if there is a movie about Tim Ballard stopping child sex trafficking, somehow some woke writers will be angry about it. Now, why is that? And, I get to a point, listen, I've been very critical of our woke friends on the last few streams, and this is what I would say to anyone of any political side that's listening or watching, whether you like what I have to say or not. I mean this quite seriously. We should look for what we have in common rather than what is driving us apart. We should start, and if any olive branch is ever extended in our direction, I am happy to extend one in return. Certainly this channel is not a channel that is intended to divide people. It really isn't. Look, I'm honest about my views. I'm honest about my opinions. But that should not be taken to mean that I consider anyone who disagrees with me my enemy. My default state is a state of friendship with any fellow human. It is that human's choice whether they want to consider me an enemy or not. And if they do, well, then that is as it is. But my point is this, I have no quarrel with anyone that disagrees. What bothers me is when a dogmatic ideological view is literally throwing aside just one issue that we could put aside our differences to come together on. And what do we get? Well, we get headlines like the ones that I'm pulling up for you now. Let's see, one more. And this one. I have a whole bunch of them for you. So this one from Variety. Now, this one's not too bad. I saw this and I thought, to be fair to the mainstream media, Sound of Freedom, faith-based movie. It's not a faith-based movie. Now, why is it? How come we don't say leftist-based movie when something like, The Proud Family comes out? Leftist-based TV show, The Proud Family. No, we never say that. Like wacko leftists make it. We never have to say wacko leftist-based movie. Notice how anyone that is not on their team, so to speak, anyone that they take issue with, it's if they choose to make something creative, it's conservative. It's a MAGA supported. It's a QAnon adjacent. Sound of Freedom, faith-based movie, scores impressive $10 million in pre-sales. Now, let me get rid of this. Sound of Freedom, a faith-based film about child sex trafficking, is shaping up to be an unlikely box office hit. Angel Studios, so yeah, it kind of goes into some preamble there. It is based on the true story of Tim Ballard, a former U.S. government agent who quit his job to rescue children from global sex traffickers. In a largely positive review, Variety's Owen Gleiberman wrote, let's assume that let me back up there. Variety's Owen Gleiberman wrote, let's assume that, like me, you're not a right-wing fundamentalist conspiracy theorist looking for a dark, faith-based suspense film to see over the holiday weekend. Even then, you needn't hold extreme beliefs to experience Sound of Freedom as a compelling movie that shines an authentic light on one of the crucial criminal horrors of our time, one that Hollywood has mostly shied away from. So look how begrudging. This is a positive review. Look at how he's holding his nose to admit this is a good film. That's unbelievable. No, sir, you do not have to be a right-wing fundamentalist. This film is not preaching at anyone. Unlike a woke movie, this movie is not preaching Christianity. It's not preaching conspiracy theories. There's no mention of the orange man in this. None of that. None of it. Nobody's being guilt-tripped here. And look at how they view. Oh my God, I can't go see it. It was made by right-wing people, and they're gross, and everything they touch sucks. I guess. What was the Rotten Tomatoes on this? I was gonna check that. There it is. 76%. That's a lot of critics holding their nose.
To get your best.
Oh man. Come on. I got dang ads. They're the worst. All right, I'll let that run its course. What does Rolling Stone have to say? Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Ew! That's unbelievable. Now, can I just show you something else that Rolling Stone had to say a while back? May I? Hang on. Let me grab it for you. That's what they have to say about this movie. Yes, here it is. Some of these you have to go to the Wayback Machine for because of the paywalls. Because, no, I won't be subscribing to your woke liberal rag, especially after these headlines. Now, I take that back. Woke leftist, not liberal. I'm fine with liberals. Liberals can chill. Cuties Review. This is from Rolling Stone. Cuties Review. A coming-of-age movie caught in the culture wars. That this would be the sick, pedophilic movie about young girls being in beauty pageants. Thanks to a major marketing mistake, this award-winning French movie has been accused of sexualizing girls. It's actually a sensitive portrait of growing pains that deserves to be seen. Oh, they love cuties over there at Rolling Stone, don't they? No, but Sound of Freedom, no, that's for dads with brain worms. What does Washington Post think about it? From the Washington Post, Sound of Freedom is a box office hit whose star embraces QAnon. So notice the film has nothing about QAnon in it. Nothing about QAnon is in the marketing of the film. The director has said nothing about QAnon. But because Jim Caviezel has said things in agreement with QAnon, therefore, that is what this film is about. Look at how snotty this subheadline is. The low-budget film about child sex trafficking almost topped the box office on July 4th. Almost. Got to throw that in. But its star, Jim Caviezel, has linked it to the QAnon movement. You know, I am no fan of QAnon. So for those who don't know what QAnon is a or multiple posters who used to post on 4chan what could be described as conspiracy theories about an international child sex trafficking ring that involves Hillary Clinton and a pizza restaurant in New York and various different things. I'm no fan of this. You know, I am a big believer. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If there is evidence, I'm willing to hear it. It's why guys like Alex Jones, even though they go on some wild tangents that I find completely implausible, when they are close to the mark, I am open to hearing what they have to say, as I am with anyone. So I'm no fan of QAnon, and I'm telling you, this film is excellent. It doesn't have even the hint of something like that. There are no wild... In fact, I think what's most notable about Sound of Freedom is how sober and grounded it is. How, like, you watch this movie, no matter what your political views, and you're gonna, if you're normal, you're gonna come away with it saying, this is absolutely happening. This is happening, and it has to stop. We need to get our house in order and put a stop to this. It says something about our society that this is allowed to continue to the extent that it has after all the millions we've dumped into the drug war. Now, this is what the Washington Post has to say about it. But what did the Washington Post think of Cuties? Cuties is an unflinching look at what it means to be a preteen girl. No wonder people can't handle it. This from Monica S. If you can weed whack past the drama surrounding it, angry politicians, QAnon, a terrible ad campaign followed by misguided petitions, you can perhaps enjoy Cuties for what it is. One of the more compelling movies you've seen in months. Funny and deeply uncomfortable, sweet and sometimes sad. Now, why is it that they can't be fine with the fact that Sound of Freedom is deeply uncomfortable? It is. It's deeply uncomfortable. But they seem very comfortable with Cuties. They seem very comfortable with that. And you know, they really don't like that QAnon was criticizing this pedophilic movie at all. Now, isn't that curious? Isn't that curious? From Variety. Variety is actually reasonably fair. Sound of Freedom review, Jim Caviezel anchors a solidly made and disquieting thriller about child sex trafficking. It's been sold as a conservative thriller, but you didn't need that mindset to find it compelling. They were so close. They were so close to one honest headline. Just one. It is a solidly made and disquieting thriller about child sex trafficking. And then but it's been sold as a conservative. It's by who? Nobody is selling this as a conservative thriller. Now, conservatives by word of mouth may be spreading the word about it, but why would we have to do that? Why would conservatives have to do that? Could it be things like shadow banning, deplatforming, media lying? Could it be the fact that when Disney gets a hold of a movie like this, they shelve it and make the filmmakers fight tooth and nail to get it back just to get it made? Could that be the reason? Surely not. So that one is a reasonably fair take. I feel like I had at least one more in here for you because we had to... Oh, yes. Lest I forget. Did I show you the Guardian take? Did I already read this one? Oh, yeah, here we go. Now, I'll show you this one, too. This from The Guardian. Sound of Freedom, the QAnon-adjacent thriller seducing America. You know, I would just love it if we could start labeling every woke leftist piece of trash movie woke, insane, leftist adjacent. Woke, leftist, insane, adjacent, Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny. Well, you know, look, to the victor go the spoils. When you control all the levers of the media, you get to make the narrative, don't you? You get to decide. You get to decide that everyone who doesn't think like you, everyone who disagrees with you, everyone with a slightly different religious belief system, they are adjacent to whatever you hate. And everything you love is just normal. Jim Caviezel stars as a hero trying to stop child traffickers in a paranoid new movie, turning into a surprise box office hit. No thanks to you assholes. Paranoid. You know what? Maybe we need a little paranoia about this subject. Maybe we do. You know, we have put up with the shill media for quite some time, maligning liberal, moderate, centrist, conservative, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, basically apolitical, non-political people. In other words, everyone to the right of absolute total insanity have been maligned. We have one film, one sober, authentic film that is sounding the alarm about child sex trafficking, and to them it's paranoid. It's QAnon adjacent. Well, we will not desist. We will continue making films like this. We will continue supporting films like this. The woke trash fires, Indiana Jones, The Flash, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Blue Beetle, Batman as a fascist, they will continue to go down in flames. Welcome to the Iron Age. This, The Sound of Freedom, is an Iron Age film. And we march on. We will not be silenced. We, the honorable, the moral people, the morally conscious people of all political views, we will show up to these films. We will shell out our hard-earned dollars for these films, and we will inflict defeat after defeat after defeat on the shill, fake, phony media, the lying corporate masters of these boondoggles, destroying all of our characters, and we will create new things. We will not be dissuaded by your lies. We will not be silenced. There is no deplatforming movement that can get rid of all of us. There's more of us every day. So, take heart, my dear sailors and starnauts. We are winning. We are winning. So there you have it. The Sound of Freedom. Exceptional film. Go see it. Please go see this movie. Bring people with you. Donate a ticket or two. Look, you do not have to agree with everything Tim Ballard thinks. You don't have to agree with what Jim Caviezel thinks. You can take issue with some of the factual details of the film, feel like, oh, I'm not sure if this is accurate. This seemed a bit over the top. It's a film. It's going to take liberties. There's no such thing as a film that is a truly true story. Every film is going to have some level of embellishment, some level of stylization. I would say this film is probably as minimalistic as any. But it's, when this film ended, the credits roll, it's like, there was just such a air of silence and solemnity. You could just feel how deeply this movie affects the audience. And at the end of the movie, there is a message by Jim Caviezel, and I felt this at the end of watching, like, The Pacific, for example, just this feeling of being overwhelmed with emotion, and it kind of sneaks up on you. You kind of aren't aware of it building up as you're watching it, and then you just get to the end and you just hear this message, and of course the show media depicts it as a desperate begging on the part of Jim Caviezel. It's like, there's nothing desperate. Well, if there is something in all of this world to be desperate about, wouldn't this be it? Wouldn't this be the thing to be desperate to stop? Why aren't you desperate? You in the media? Do I need to play the music again? You in the media, who always are lecturing us about morality, and those that are marginalized, those that have no one to speak for them. Why aren't you desperate to solve this problem? You're only talking about this movie because you have no choice. Just admit it. You'd be happy to ignore it. Now, why is that? That's got me curious. Why is it that you people in the media never want to talk about this stuff? Of course, nobody wants children to be exploited except the exploiters. Now let's go back to talking about something else. Why are you so desperate to avoid this subject? Why is it that it takes an independent film wresting control from two different studios that were dragging their feet to make it, a word-of-mouth, fan-funded, conservative-funded campaign just to get this movie in theaters and get enough tickets for it to succeed? Why does it take that much effort to get this message out? Why? I'll tell you why. It is because the media, the corporate media, are the enemies of the people because they are liars, they are propagandists, and at worst might even be, some of them, complicit in some of the things depicted in this film. That's my opinion about the issue. So, yes, people who deliberately lie and cover up everything from film box office results to, shall we say, important evidence in advance of an election. What else could you be described as but an obstacle that we, the people, must overcome? Thank you for that, by the way. You know, it's not that it's hard enough in this world to be a self-governing people preserving our liberties, but we must add to our list of obstacles to overcome the lying, immoral media, and that is why they are the enemies of the people, and they are losing, and they always will, to a free people. So let us. Speaking of desperate pleas, I have one that I wanted to share with you. You know, one thing I had this thought when I was watching Sound of Freedom. I thought, if you are watching this film and you become aware, to kind of riff on a line from The Watchmen, if you become aware of a subtle rising anger, a rising sense of fury as you watch this film, it only indicates that you are sane. It only indicates that you are human. So I'm pulling up a couple of things I want to show you on this subject. They're getting desperate, folks. They're getting desperate. We're shifting gears here a little bit because, you know, they describe Jim Caviezel's impassioned plea at the end of the film to spread the word about it and donate to the cause and to just be aware of this film and honestly to kind of help you get over what you've just watched. They call that desperate. Well, I have something else that I would call desperate for you. If I can find the one I'm looking for, it's in the stack of stuff. Oh, dang it. I needed to, okay, let me see if I can. I'm going to have to Google it. Oh, this is, I might have to bootstrap this a little. Here we go. I think I found it. I'd like to find the video, but I'll take an article if that will do. I might have the video for you. Oh, man. What's with the cookies? All right. Change of plans here. Delay of game. But let me know in the comments what you think of Sound of Freedom. All right. So, hat tip, Ryan Kinnell, RK Outpost. He found this one. Trying to find the right video here. It's basically Harrison Ford is pleading for the fans to come back. Here we go. I think I got it. Loading.
Of all time with a mass.
Okay. Here. Okay, here it is.
Star Wars. Now they are sitting thankful he is Maverick, and he's continued to do it to care about music in the background. Don't do it, John Williams. All right, do not copyright claim that.
Joys of my career. Thank you for welcoming the man with the hat into your lives for generations. It's meant the world to me to share Indy with all of you. As always.
So here comes Harrison Ford, right? He's basically that. A lot of the film companies are doing this now. They saw Tom Cruise's beautiful thank you message to theater goers at the beginning of Top Gun Maverick, and now, as always, Hollywood is learning the wrong lesson from a little humility from Tom Cruise, and they are trotting out all their actors and directors to start begging the fans, come back.
The movies, unless there are snakes, of course.
And this does make me sad because I love the character.
Agreed. Hat tip RK Outpost. I just... Poor Harrison Ford, man. It just his character has been utterly deconstructed, embarrassed, humiliated. Completely done for. Completely done for is his character. And, you know, we need you, Harrison, to get out there. We need you to get out there and make us sound like we really appreciate the fans and care about them, you know, even though we don't. Which reminded me of this. So there's an episode of South Park where basically Cartman wants something from Kyle. And Kyle says, I will give you, I forget what it was, but he's like, I will, you know, do this favor for you, or I'll give you what you want, Cartman, if you will start being nice. And Cartman fights it for a while, then eventually decides, okay, I'm going to try being nice. And so this is what happens.
Hi, Kyle. That isn't it, Cartman. What isn't it? That's not being nice. That's just putting on a nice sweater. I don't understand the difference. I know you don't.
So, this is what I think of these, you know, Harrison Ford coming out there. He's like, oh, I appreciate you. I appreciate you liking the man in the hat for so many years. And thank you for coming out to the theater. And it's like, that isn't it, Harrison. What do you mean? Saying nice things after you've destroyed all the characters and ruined all the movies, and because you saw Tom Cruise did it and people liked his movie, that isn't being nice. that isn't honoring your characters. I don't understand the difference. I know you don't. We know you don't. This isn't what it is. Try this headline. The Blue Beetle director completely changes his tune. He asks moviegoers to give Blue Beetle a chance after mocking them over the Batman's a fascist line. Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel Soto completely changed his tune and is now asking moviegoers to give the film a second chance after he repeatedly mocked and derided them following the release of the film's first trailer. So if you don't recall, if you've seen the Blue Beetle trailer, there's a line in it where George Lopez, playing a family member of the titular Blue Beetle character, says, you know, someone says something, oh, I think this is Batman stuff. And he says, Batman's a fascist. Well, numerous individuals took exception to the line, including YouTuber Ryan Kinnell, hat tip RK Outpost, criticizing it, saying, at the end, the Batman is a fascist line. This is pandering to the stupid, and I'll just say it, fucking 20-year-old free profile picture, she, them, don't know what your fucking gender is, don't buy comics, don't have money to go to the movies. That's who that fucking shit is pandering to. Close quote. That would be Ryan Kinnell, the angriest man on the internet. He earned that title with good reason. His anger far exceeds that of even the most angry man. Batman is a fascist. Fuck off with that. That's so stupid, he declared, and I agree with him. Kinnell's criticism would be shared to Twitter by CBM Movie Fan, who wrote, George Lopez saying Batman is a fascist, has this MF riled up. The user added, I need more lines like that from the movie if they're freaking out like this. Soto responded to the tweet from the rando fan with 3 laughing emojis and a Skeletor gif that reads, well, my job's done. So you see how this works? You see how this works? They tell us, there is no such thing as woke movies. There's no such thing as woke storytelling. You need to lighten up. What you're seeing is not really there. It's just a line, right? It's just that Batman's it's just a funny applause line. But then, as soon as anyone critiques the line and says, I don't like that line, that's not something, the idea that the film is putting forth, that Batman is a fascist, in the trailer. It's the closing line of the trailer. Consider for a moment how watered down and meaningless the word fascist has become. Fascist now means, it used to mean a totalitarian movement in which all of society was mobilized for war, and a secret police surveillance state tortured and murdered anyone that disagreed with it. That's what fascism used to mean. What fascism now means is anyone that doesn't put their pronouns in their bio. This should be a horrific word. It should only be used in the most dire circumstances. And the fact that a character is saying it in this movie shows me that if this is an accurate depiction of the modern lexicon, the modern zeitgeist, then it just shows how far we've fallen. Because even someone who despised Batman for various reasons, calling him a fascist should be an absolutely over the top line. Really, it should be villains that are calling Batman a fascist. But so this is how this works, right? So we take exception to it. Some little ankle biter fan says, oh yeah, well, we need more like that. And then the director, I believe, is that the director? Let me double check this. Angel Manuel de Soto. Soto, not de Soto. Blue, Beetle. It's a shame, too, because almost all of that trailer almost looks decent. It almost looks good. The fact that the whole DC universe is totally destroyed by James Gunn's confusing, strange rollout is really a shame, because that kills all of the tension. That kills all of my excitement for it. Yeah, director. Angel Manuel Soto. So he replies, oh, that's so great. My job is done. I've pissed off fans. I've insulted fans. I've insulted the character they love. My job is done. But no, it's all in our heads, right? There's no actual attempt to troll the fans, to attack the fans. Soto would use a similar gif in response to another user pointing out that certain people were upset about the inclusion of the Batman's a fascist line in the trailer. Instead of Skeletor, he used one of President Barack Obama dropping a microphone. He captioned it, "My job here is done." All the indicated people are the ones who are today angry about the line, Batman is a fascist. Yep. So this is another from Angel Manuel Soto. So he loves it. He loves it. He knows exactly what he did. He knows exactly what that line means. That line is not just some character in a movie with an offhanded remark that's just supposed to be comedic and dismissed. And actually, Ryan Cannell made this point himself, which is, if the context of the film is that character is then made fun of, he's a whack job, he's crazy, and the other characters, immediately make fun of him for that, like, that would be one thing. That would actually be one way to know. It still shouldn't be a line in the trailer, because the line itself being in the trailer where it is, it's played literally for laughs. It's like, that's like saying, Batman is a genocidal war criminal who murdered millions. That's exactly how ridiculous it is. So no, it's not there. I guarantee you the context in this film is not going to mitigate it. They put it in there because that's what they think of Batman. Angel Manuel Soto, that's what he thinks of Batman. That's what these crazy leftists think of Batman. He's a billionaire. Ew, gross. He fights crime, but criminals, they're just taking what they need from all the Targets and convenience stores that they're looting and plundering. They're the oppressed ones. So in their twisted worldview, Batman is a fascist. But now, how the tables have turned. Now that this movie's shaping up to be a complete disaster, The Flash has gone down in flames, Black Adam has gone down in flames, Shazam 2 has gone down in flames, Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny and The Little Mermaid all down in flames. Now in an interview with Movie Maker, Soto is asking fans to give him and the film a chance. First, he attempted to explain the scene. Well, we always wanted to have fun with the way Rudy talks about other superheroes. He continued, so to the people who got mad at it, give us a chance. We're just trying to have fun with the characters that we love. And everybody in our movie loves Batman and Superman and the Flash. Cough button. See how the gaslighting works here? And of course, we have criticisms about all of them, as we all should. Calling someone a fascist is not a criticism. That is an indictment that someone is a murderer, is a tyrant, that's the best interpretation of what the word fascist means. But that doesn't mean we hate Batman. Oh no, we love Batman. See, what you heard is not what actually happened. The film star, Xolo Maridueña, also shared his thoughts on the criticism of Lopez's character, describing Batman as a fascist. F that. He elaborated, maybe Jaime and the audience don't agree with Rudy, but you're allowed to have your opinion. That's okay. Oh, really? Really? Like on Twitter, for example? Like on YouTube? We're all allowed to have our say. Is that how that works? Sure. Meanwhile, over at the interview with AOC, deplatforming works. Hashtag deplatforming works. Maridueña then insinuated the line was included. Yeah, it's like, everyone's allowed to have their say. You can wear your pride hat to work, and I can wear my MAGA hat to work. What? No, we can have the pride hat, but we can't have the MAGA hat because then people would feel unsafe. So everyone gets to have their say, their opinion. That's okay. That's the world we live in. Gaslighting. And, this poor kid, he doesn't know any better. He's swimming in that Hollywood soup. So he's just parroting. So this is what is so frustrating. I say this often. I am fine with the social contract of living among people who disagree with me, don't like my worldview, don't want to hear my worldview. I'm fine with that. I don't want to hear their worldview. I don't mind it. I hear it all the time. It's everywhere. So who cares? They're not okay with that. They want to deplatform, silence, ban, shadow ban, jail everyone they consider an enemy, everyone that espouses any dissent of any kind, scientific, cultural, whatever, just film commentary. They want all those people shut up and silenced, and then they want to say, oh, well, everyone gets their say. Because the only people left to have a say are them. Maridueña then insinuated the line was included to rile up viewers. It was. That's accurate. If you felt some type of way about it, that was the point. So I think if you agree with it, you don't agree with it, it was placed there for a reason. And all of the people who have their Batman shrines at home can keep them there, and they don't have to worry. Oh, and the circle is complete. We've come full circle. First, it starts with, well, you didn't hear what you heard. Then it was, you heard exactly what you heard. Mic drop. And now it's, well, if you heard then it's, no, it's just a guy's opinion. It's just an opinion of Rudy. Everyone gets their opinion. That's okay. But also, it was placed there for a reason. And if you felt some type of way about it, there you go. Then that was the purpose. So look at this. There's not one shred of consistency in any of these statements. Oh no, it's just everyone has their opinion. There's nothing to it. Also, it was there for a reason, and that's why you have the reaction you have. So, despite what Soto is saying now, his initial reaction is more than likely what he truly believes. And he's changed his tune because he's seen box office bomb after box office bomb this year. His job as director might not be safe in James Gunn's new plans for the DC verse. So, they are begging, folks. They are begging for forgiveness. They're trotting out Harrison Ford, trotting out, oh no, it's just a line in the movie. It's just a line. And then we have this from Bounding Into Comics. James Mangold derides fans as divisive for not liking his deconstruction of Indiana Jones in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny director James Mangold decided to deride fans for not liking his deconstruction of Indiana Jones. Sidebar. A friend of mine has pointed out that my pronunciation of Dial of Destiny tends to stick in his head, and he doesn't like it too much. Why do I pronounce it that way? Because that's exactly how they are. That's exactly how they talk to all of us. And this article is absolute proof of it. James Mangold is over here. Look at this. He is above all criticism. He is accountable to no one. He bears no responsibility for producing a $300 million failure. He feels he owes nothing to the fans. He owes them nothing. His Dial of Destiny is perfect. It's perfect, don't you know? It is an excellent film. And if you don't like it, you're divisive. That's why I say Dial of Destiny, because their opinion of the film does not match reality. It's garbage. That movie is about a psychopathic, crazy, grave-robbing thief who implicates her godfather for murder, who leaves him to die at the hands of Nazi henchmen, who leaves him to die again at the bottom of the ocean, who leaves him to die almost all the way until finally, in the final act of the film, he begs for death. Then she punches him in the face and drags him back and says, no, you have to live. This film is a trash fire. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Mangold was asked by Brian Davids, "Life is filled with peaks and valleys, and I appreciate when my fictional heroes such as Indy have their own ups and downs. So why does a segment of the audience seem to want these legacy characters to be infallible? I just can't figure out why anyone would want such little drama." Now, this is a beautiful straw man argument, isn't it? Why does the audience seem to want these legacy characters to be infallible? Nobody's arguing for that, sir. Nobody wants Indiana Jones to be infallible. In fact, I believe in my last review, I pointed out that Harrison Ford is quite correct in his analysis that Indiana Jones is the type of character whose action sequences are defined by how fallible he is. They are defined by the fact that he's an improviser and he's often stuck in things he needs to work his way out of by thinking on his feet. Nobody is asking for Indiana Jones to be infallible. No one is making that argument that is criticizing this film. No one. So that is gaslighting. That is a straw man argument, but it sets up more gaslighting quite magnificently. Silverback says, "Your comparison of the reviews between The Sound of Freedom and Cuties is brilliant." Why, thank you, sir. I am not the first, but it is a point that must be made. Silverback goes on to say, "Yeah, the Harrison Ford thank you message seems rather phony." Yeah, just a little. Just a little. Well, it is phony, because if you watch Top Gun Maverick, if you saw it in the theaters, there was a really awesome message. You can find it on YouTube where Tom Cruise, it was quite unexpected. Nobody had done anything like this. Nobody was doing anything like this. And it was right after box office bomb after box office bomb. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, was an absolute disaster. And then you come to this movie, and what do we hear? The Obi-Wan show comes out, and they say, oh, anyone who doesn't like Reva, is a racist. Oh, she's the racist fans. We had been listening to all that garbage the whole summer. And then we sit down into the theater, we hear Tom Cruise say, hey, we worked really hard on this film. These are real planes with real aviators. We made this to be entertaining, to delight you. We know that, it's tough out there. We appreciate you coming to the theater. We appreciate you being here to support this film, and we hope you enjoy it. It was heartfelt. It was humble. It was the exact polar opposite of every other social media page involving a film studio, an actor, a writer, a director. I just showed you, just now, the director of this Blue Beetle film, Soto, happy that he's pissing off the potential customers who would go see his movie. Spitting on people, criticizing the film happily. It was such a breath of fresh air to see that message from Tom Cruise. And now they're trying to copycat it. They're trying to copycat it because I think I was in, I want to say it was Dungeons and Dragons maybe, where they open up the film with the cast of Dungeons and Dragons, say kind of the same type of message. We're so glad you came out to the theater. The only difference was it was totally scripted. They had like a little joke woven into it, like a Marvel gag kind of woven into it, and all the different characters were speaking on cue. It was very rehearsed. It wasn't terrible. I'm like, look, I don't mind the fact that they're taking notice, that we would appreciate a little bit of appreciation. That being said, it just isn't the same. So Mangold, returning to this article, says, well, there's a point where these characters become symbols more than characters. And so there becomes this anxiety that if you examine the humanity of a hero, you somehow weaken them. No one is making that argument. You phony, elitist snob. You entitled, dare I say, man baby, working in a luxury industry. You should be grateful you even had the opportunity to direct this disaster of destiny. He continued, and honestly, I can't speak for how fans relate and wrestle with these questions in relation to other movies, but certainly, in relation to mine, I think your question almost has my answer built into it. I mean, I think you're, in a sense, already addressing it. Good drama gives hero a problem. If a movie is about a beautiful hero who is capable of anything and is virtually indestructible and is without any personal issues or concerns, then you just have a fashion video with action, which is what nobody is asking for. In fact, all of the critiques of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars are that Rey Skywalker is a Mary Sue character. Nobody's arguing for that. I am a fan of starting a character in one place to go to another, Mangold elaborated. Movies are a continuum. By definition, in drama, a character starts in one place and ends up in another. Well, that is very astute, sir. You must be really good at this. Mangold then accused critics of his deconstruction of being divisive when it was his and Lucasfilm's choice to turn into, I'm going on my own here, Indiana Jones into a passed out drunken loser who was such an asshole father he drove his son into the Vietnam War where he was killed. Mangold said, so if people want to be divisive in the age of social media, they can focus on where a character starts as opposed to where they end. Or they can focus on where they end as opposed to where they start. I was speaking for both, sir. Your movie is garbage. Indiana Jones is a sad sack loser who should be in his Golden Fleece story. Instead, he is in a dude with a problem story, and his problem is Phoebe Waller-Forehead, who is a psychopath and a sociopath that your film attempts to portray as a lovable, fly-by-the-seat-of-her-pants grave robber who has a heart of gold. While she stands by and just happily laughs her way, into another boat as she abandons the burning ship where she has left the dead bodies of Indiana Jones' barely cold, murdered friends, and shows not an ounce of sensitivity until he in the movie has to say, my friends just died. Oh, yikes, too soon. Mangold says, in reality, for Harrison, who's playing the character, he's tracing an arc, and he's changing through the whole picture. So it all depends on where you're landing and where you're pointing your finger on that timeline. I am pointing my finger, sir, at all of it. All of it. Garbage. Ironically, Mangold previously admitted he was deconstructing Indiana Jones and that moviegoers would have to readjust and retool their brains for this guy. In a previous... notice how they changed their tunes. In a previous interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Mangold explained how the film would transition from Indiana Jones in his prime to a much older Indiana Jones. It reminds the audience, said Mangold, of the contrast between a hero in his physical prime and a hero at 70. We're not relying solely on the audience's memory of the previous films. It reminds everyone what he's done and what he's survived and what he's accomplished. Yeah, no, it depresses us, sir. It reminds us of what your movie has stolen from us, is what it reminds us of. By showing him at his most hearty and finding him at 70 in New York City, it produces for the audience a kind of wonderful whiplash of how they're going to have to readjust and retool their brains for this guy. I mentioned it in my last live stream. This is the most charitable interpretation of what these writers are doing with Return of the Jedi, or The Last Jedi, Star Trek Picard Season 2 would be, it's not the case, but it would be, if I were to interpret it this way, that they are trying to surprise the audience. They're trying to turn your expectations on their head. But they are failing at this. They are failing at this because they only have one trope. They are a broken record. Sad old man loser. Has to be dragged out of retirement. Now, notice how they keep making this argument. They keep making this argument that, well, we can't just have the character be the character you knew because that would be boring. Then how is it that Top Gun Maverick was able to do this with the character of Maverick? He is a man in his prime doing he's past his prime, but he is still enjoying his life. He is still enjoying being a pilot. He still has skills. He's got problems. He's got failures, but he is still doing what he loves, and he's great at it. Now, why is it so hard? Why is it that Tom Cruise is able to do this with the character of Maverick? He's able to do this with the character of Ethan Hunt. John Wick. Keanu Reeves is able to do this with the character of John Wick. Why are you not able to do this with Indiana Jones? There's a great film I am a huge fan of, The Mask of Zorro. Does anyone remember this film, The Mask of Zorro, where Diego de la Vega, who is the original Zorro, is imprisoned for 20 years by, what was it? Count Montero, I want to say? Don Montero, his arch rival. And so he's rotting in jail for 20 years. He manages to escape in order to save his daughter from the clutches of his arch rival. And he's an old man who is past his prime. He has to train a new Zorro, played by Antonio Banderas, to be the new Zorro. And at the beginning of the film, he is a little bit of a sad old man because he's been in prison for 20 years. However, the minute that he has the opportunity to save his daughter and reclaim his life and stop the villain that he had fought 20 years ago, suddenly energy comes back into him. He finds a new way to prevail. He finds a way to find a new Zorro to train, and even manages to teach him quite a few painful lessons despite being older than this man and very much past his prime. Now, how is it that a film like that can do an old mentor character who has failed in life, and still give him an amazing hero's arc, still make him a wise mentor, still show him as being competent at what he does, and even learning a lesson by the end? That's a great movie, by the way, Mask of Zorro is. What they think, Mangold says, you're left with a multi-layered perception of his character, both what he was and what he is, and how the world is different between the first 20 minutes of the movie. What you call multi-layered, I call cliche. It is an absolute cliche. Every single film coming out of Hollywood is doing this to their legacy characters. Every single one. So how can you call that multi-layered, sir? Let's see here. Yes, there's a lot of great Twitter fights between Mangold and fans here. Why don't we just go through them, shall we? This is not the first time Mangold has lashed out and made accusations against Indiana Jones fans. Starfury in the chat, the classic old mentor trope is still magnifique. Kedish wrote on Twitter, to anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, let me just point out, 1, Steven Spielberg is not directing, this is Matthew Kadish. Kathleen Kennedy is producing. Harrison Ford is 78 years old. It's written by Jonathan Kasdan, who also wrote Solo, which is a pretty dynamite tweet, I have to say. To which Mangold took exception to the tweet and responded by insulting him. Thanks, Matt. Number 1, keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement. Well, we're very touchy, aren't we, Mr. Mangold? Number 2, never seen a script by John, nothing against him, just reality. Butterworth and I started from a blank page. Oh, and what a beautiful triumph you wrote, sir. Number 3, 1 to 3 are hugely talented and are at my side. Mangold would continue to deride Kadish and his podcast team, The Salty Nerd. The Salty Nerd tweeted, we don't have basements, but we do have a kick-ass studio with a Batman statue. That's pretty sweet. I gotta follow The Salty Nerd. Why don't I follow The Salty Nerd? Mangold replied, yeah, that's a kick-ass studio. Congrats on the Batman statue and the jar of corks. So how about you let me finish my film and then bitch all you want in front of your vinyl bricks lit by your fancy bounce light, and maybe don't call opinion news. Oh, is that what they did? What an asshole. How pathetic is it? James Mangold is bitch-made. He is absolutely bitch-made. Look at this guy. He would also describe Kadish as a clickbaiter and a night crawler. Mangold tweeted in response to a user encouraging him, thanks, Axe. I don't mind people griping and prognosticating, but on my watch, false info and ageism and snark from so-called journalists is going to be confronted directly and forcefully. In my opinion, these clickbaiters like to dish it out, but like night crawlers can't stand the light. Au contraire. You know what I call ageism? The absolute destruction of Indiana Jones' character as being a sad old man who comes out of his apartment to bang on the door of his younger neighbors. Turn down your music. Turn down your music. That this is the only creative approach you can envision for this character. That's the ageism, Mr. Mangold. The absolute insufferable entitlement of these Hollywood assholes. You serve at our pleasure. You create these films at the pleasure of the customers willing to buy them, and guess what? You're fired. Your film is fired. The film had an abysmal opening weekend, only bringing in $60.3 million domestically. So far, the film has only grossed $102.3 million domestic and $69.5 million internationally. The film is expected to lose the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm more than $250 million. So, maybe, Mr. Mangold, if you had listened to some of those critics in their basements in front of their, as you put it, plastic brick wall backdrop, maybe you could have learned something. Maybe you could have heard that there's something that the fans are asking for. Maybe there's a critique in there somewhere that you could learn something from. What a shame. And then I see a headline like this, and it just breaks my heart, Karen Allen, who played Marion, is disappointed about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny separating Indy and Marion and killing Mutt, their son. Yes, so creative. We wrote the movie from scratch, so you can just go back to your basement, you loser. It's like, Well, you, sir, Mr. Mangold, are the loser. You are the one that wrote a box office bomb. You are the one that directed a box office bomb, and it is your vast depth of creativity that resulted in only about the 10th legacy character with this exact plot line in which you kill off all the characters that matter to him, take away everything that mattered in his life. Harrison Ford has played two of these characters, Indiana Jones and Han Solo, both deconstructed and destroyed by the likes of you. You're not original. You're not creative. You're the writing equivalent of locusts descending on a field of grain. So yeah, that is so yes, please do make a thank you video. Yeah, put it in front of your next movie and see how that works. You never hear Tom Cruise doing this. If Tom Cruise is getting shit, I never hear anyone. I never hear him going out and saying, oh, no, why don't you go back to your basement, nerd? While I go back and make my movie. They are losing. Give me my music back. Where's my music? Yes, James Mangold. Yes, we are the basement dwellers, we are. That's what they call us. There is another name for what we are, sir. Fans. Customers. And we are Legion. So yes, you can call us whatever you will. You can dismiss us. You can ignore us. You can close your ears. I hear no evil, see no evil. I'm going to make my movie. And we will march on. We will continue taking our money to filmmakers that care about our dollars. We will continue denying your films our hard-earned money because it is our money. You are not needed, sir. This is the Iron Age. Films like Sound of Freedom are showing you just exactly what your audiences want. And whether you want to hear it or not, we will be heard. This is not the last defeat. Make your next Indiana boondoggle. Make your new Star Wars trilogy and see what happens. Fill it full of all the woke garbage you want. We will inflict defeat after defeat after defeat. We will not be dissuaded. We will not be deplatformed. We will not be talked out of our sharp and accurate critique of these trash fires. No, sir. We of the Fellowship will never surrender. We will defend our characters. We will defend our franchises. We will fight them on the beaches. We will fight them in the fields. We will never surrender. And we, in the words of the young Ripper Eric July, will win. That's what I have to say to you, Mr. Mangold. Starfury says, and we have Star Wars to look forward to from Manchild. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Lest I forget. Yes, well, I look forward to it, sir. I look forward to it. Are you not entertained? Says Starfury. Are you not entertained? Yes, well, don't give this captain a soundtrack. That's dangerous. We're playing with fire now. I've discovered royalty-free music, and it's excellent. It's very excellent. I'm having fun with it. So, in any case, that's an old trick I borrowed from Mark Levin. He used to do the music to his impassioned rants. I learn a little something from everybody. So, yeah, I came across this fun little story. I'm just going to pull this up for you. Before we go, though, just, again, we've got Harrison Ford saying, thank you for coming out to see Indiana Jones in his Barca Lounger. And I've gotten to play this character for a long time, and thank you for supporting a character. And I'll see you at the movies unless there's snakes. That was a line I said once. It was about snakes, yes. Who am I? Where am I? And so this is their attempt at pleading with us, the fans. And, this is just my opinion of these pathetic attempts by Soto of Blue Beetle and Mangold and Harrison Ford to try and smooth things over.
Hi, Kyle. That isn't it, Cartman. What isn't it? That's not being nice. That's just putting on a nice sweater. I don't understand the difference. I know you don't.
I thought, well, we said thank you. We said we're sorry. How come our movie's not making money? That's not making good movies. I don't understand the difference. We know you don't. We know you don't. So yeah. Go try. Keep trying. I love the try hard. The try hard is entertaining, if a little pathetic. So Katie Sackhoff, of whom I am just a great fan, and who wouldn't be, she describes her fan base as, there's like 40% that sort of like her character. There's like 30% that kind of hate the character of Bo-Katan. And then there's just like, 1% that just want her to sit on their face. want her to sit on their face. Yeah. And so I'll just give you one guess which percentage of that fan base I am in. But it would be inappropriate for me to state it outright. So this is from Katie Sackhoff's channel. She was interviewing Bryce Dallas Howard, and they were talking about The Mandalorian.
Mando is like, they're always so confused why it takes so long for us to shoot and why the episodes are in their minds so short. And I'm like, there are so many moving parts to this that you have no idea. We're lucky that we finish as fast as we do. We're rushed all the time. And the fact that we finish is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truly.
It's are you your Gwen Stacy
Hey, but
role?
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I have all these questions that come up in my mind, and I'm like, am I allowed to ask Katie a question? So for you, I'm just so curious because I haven't worked in TV, and I'm told that this is
we're coming to it.
Like in some ways a normal TV process, in some ways not. Like what have you found in terms of what's typical and what's not?
Can I just, it's, with all due respect to Bryce Dallas Howard, she is the one that directed the Jack Black episode of Mandalorian season 3. Okay. My opinion of her directorial skills have taken significant damage.
The biggest difference for me, I mean, budget is massive.
Mm-hmm.
Budget is completely different. I've never worked on something with a budget this big. I mean, I literally, our catering budget is probably the entire budget of Battlestar Galactica. Granted, that was 20 years ago, but
that is incredible to me. Like, I know she's not speaking literally, but she's talking about how on Mandalorian, just the budget is astronomical. She's like, our catering budget is as big as the budget of Battlestar Galactica was back in the day. And, she's probably not far off. I mean, you think about all the COVID restrictions and all the diversity, equity, and inclusion protocols. Can you just imagine the bloat on Disney Productions? Can you just imagine? They probably wipe their ass with money instead of toilet paper. We prefer dollar bills in our bathrooms. It's like, that's essential to a successful production.
the biggest thing is that most episodes of television that I am used to shoot in 8 days. 8 days. It is so fast, and you get 2 to 3 takes, and that's it. So when I came in, it was
I'm like, not my medium.
No.
Yeah.
It is. I have literally.
If the episode you directed is any indication, I would agree with you. Miss Howard.
Used to be told, they used to joke and call me the one take wonder, because I would know exactly what I was going to do. I would have it all planned. I would know the story. And yes, I would fly by the seat of my pants through like inside that box, but I knew that I had 1 or 2 takes to get it perfect, and that was it. From every angle, mind you.
Starfury says, have they heard of packed lunches? Yeah. Are you kidding me? You gotta be shitting me. You're shitting me, right?
But so when we got to Mando, or when I got to Mando, and on day 1 with you, where for God love you, the amount of takes you do is like my bread and butter. I think that we got to like take 3, and I was convinced that was it, because that's my experience. There are times we did 38 takes of one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is.
If only they had done 38 drafts of the script, then you might have actually had a good show. You might have actually had a good show. You know, I have great admiration for Katie Sackhoff. You know, it's like, listen to, she definitely has a work ethic, which is why it kills me. It kills me that she played this boring, stupid character, Bo-Katan. Look, that's perfect. That's exactly my favorite scene to encapsulate Bo-Katan. This is the first time you see her in season 3, just sitting on a stone throne in the middle of an empty giant throne room. No one there, nothing to do. What is she doing? Like, what is she doing? There's nothing to do. She has no personality. She has no character. She has no, like, culture. She's just a blank slate that they put lines on. She's a Chat GPT character. And it's like, think of what the work ethic that Katie Sackhoff has, what they could have done with this character. Bo-Katan could have been excellent if she had had a decent script. Katie Sackhoff could have been, you know, on the level of Gina Carano's character easily. But she had nothing to work with on this show. So I have great admiration for her. It just tears my heart out that she was this brainless character. Bo-Katan. So she's basically admitting how rushed it is. Now, the interesting thing is, this Jack Black episode, well, the 38 takes did not help at all, because that was one of the dumbest episodes I've ever seen. I've never been so... It was fetch quest. It was Skyrim quest. It was, oh, now you're going to the 2nd nav marker. Now you're going to the 3rd nav marker and the 4th nav marker. They had to get the thing from these people, to get the thing from those people, to get the thing from these people, so they can go all the way back to Lizzo and Jack Black and get the thing they came for in the first place. That's depressing. It depresses your captain. Starfury says 38 takes and it's still dog crap. I know, right? You know, something tells me if you've got Katie Sackhoff on the set and you need 38 takes to feel confident, your directorial skills are somewhat suspect. It's one thing to say, oh, okay, I'm gonna give it more. I have a little more discipline than to just do 2 or 3 takes and move on. 38 takes for what? There's nothing in this show for 38 takes. They have this fight scene between her and this guy on the left here. It's boring. The moves are bland, stale. You know he's gonna lose. You know he's going to lose the minute the fight, when they even start talking. Okay, they're going to fight. She's going to girl boss beat him. There you go. It's not even interesting to watch. You know, even though I always know the outcome of Henry Cavill's fights in The Witcher, at least he actually has the kind of like cool moves with the sword that are kind of fun to watch, even though you know there's no stakes, there's no tension. You know, it's like the latest round of idiots. You know, I'll tell you what. You know what kills me? I could do with about like a fifth of the fights in The Witcher. I would rather have a more interesting story in The Witcher than all these constant brainless sword fights, as well choreographed as they are. By contrast, I watch House of the Dragon, and I'm thinking, how come I almost never get to see Matt Smith just lay it down with that sword? You know, I spend half of the House of the Dragon wanting the next Matt Smith sword fight. And I don't get enough. And I don't understand this. It's like too much of one thing, not enough of the other. In every show I watch, it's very disheartening. What a disappointment. is The Mandalorian. What else is in the stack of stuff? I watched Stargate SG-1. I watched, let's see, the most recent episode was they go to a planet where the people age their entire lifespan in 100 days. And Colonel Jack O'Neill comes down with the same condition and starts aging rapidly. It was, I have to say, it was one of the more science fiction Star Trek kind of episodes, and it was one of the more enjoyable ones for sure. And it definitely had a nice little arc in there about Colonel Jack O'Neill kind of coming to terms with his mortality. I thought that was cool. He definitely plays a crotchety old man. I love how his voice gets more crotchety. Oh, you sonny boy, you're not listening. I'm like, is that really the right extrapolation for how he would talk if he got that old? But then I also love how, like, in Star Trek, there's all the Prime Directive stuff. We cannot interfere with the natural evolution of this people. Whereas with Colonel Jack O'Neill, he just goes to every single planet and just, oh, well, your religion's bullshit. Your religion's bullshit. You've been manipulated. No. You need to, this is a gun. Have you ever seen a gun? I'm like, oh my God, this guy goes to every planet and he just starts, spreading the word to every culture about all so they have like the anti-Prime Directive in Stargate SG-1. The anti-Prime Directive, which is, we got to get these people up to speed as quickly as possible. Have some bullets. Have you ever seen modern medical technology? It's like, let me tell you all about it. It's pretty funny. Oh yeah, that thing, that's a Stargate. Goes anywhere you want. Oh, we've never seen this. You must be gods. No, I love how every single time they meet a culture in this show, the very first thing is like the culture, they're just like, you are gods. And they're like, no, actually, I'm from Detroit. And they always seem so surprised. It's like you're interacting for the first time with an ancient people. Like, and they act so casual about it. There's like no, Daniel is probably the most intellectual about it. He's like, oh, well, no, we're not actually gods. I'd say, look, I can't blame the characters. It's probably how I would be. I'd be like, no, I'm not a god. Oh, that statue? That's of an alien. That's bullshit. It's like, so anyway. I do. So what I like about Jack O'Neill is he just heads on out there, tells them everything they need to know about their fake religion that's not real, puts their whole culture into crisis, but then he lands it. He lands it with his, he kind of sweet talks them into still having hope and saying, we'll be back to bring you more cool stuff someday. And they're like, thanks, Colonel. What was I going to say about that? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So there were nanites in this episode. And I have to admit, it was a breath of fresh air because you have Dr. Carter, Captain Carter, and she's a fellow captain. And not as good looking as me, but, she's up there. And she's studying the nanites, and it was such a pleasure to just see, an attractive woman, an attractive female lead, and B, she is studying the nanites, but she's like commenting on like how they could exist and the way that they work. She's like, they're molecular machines that use other molecules to reassemble themselves. And like, well, how can you tell they're not a living organism? And she says, well, because living organisms multiply and machines replicate. And I thought, damn, that is pretty cool. Because you never get that anymore in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like, oh, you press a button, oh, it's nanites. The Iron Man suit is the nanites now. Well, okay. It's so lazy. It's so lazy in modern movies, and it's just fun to kind of see them actually have to like scientifically talk about like how a nanite would actually work. It's very cool. Star Fury says, Jack O'Neill, the ultimate moralist. He is, though. No, he's a moral character. It's not a dig at him. I'm just saying it's a different approach than Captain Picard. That's all I'm saying. Circling back for a second, Star Fury says, to give Bryce Dallas Howard the benefit of the doubt, she was trying to polish a turd, but in the end, it was still just a turd. Yeah, I have no particular animus towards Bryce Dallas Howard. You know, she's a cute redhead. She definitely gets points for that. Also, talented actor, and she's done some good work. I'm not denying that. What are you going to do with Jack Black and Lizzo and that script? You know, honestly, if my number one critique of Mandalorian Season 3 is the script. It is the script. There's nothing happening in that show. It is just banal, basic bitch, chat GPT fetch quests. That show. And so, to be fair to Bryce Dallas Howard, yes, directing is not really the big problem in Mandalorian Season 3. I mean, for one thing, everything mostly looks good. I have my complaints. The houseplant pirate is ridiculous, but, you know. Starfury says, my morals are the only morals. Colonel, can I have a P92, sir? Yes. They're like, try out this gun! Like, they're an ancient Stone Age culture. It's like, show them how machine guns work. It's very different than Star Trek, you know. It's the Starship Troopers approach of exploring alien cultures. But you know, what I find funny is the assumptions that they make. They get to this planet, you know, and it's like the assumption they should have, you know, why don't they ever attempt to like dress in a way that's less threatening? I don't know. I guess technically they never know what's on the other side of the Stargate, so they really can't. I mean, but could they not send a drone through, film the land, you know, see some of the people riding around in, you know, Viking armor, and then, okay, so for this mission, we're going to dress like we're Vikings, but, you know. In any case, it's, you know, there's some good sci-fi material in there, so I am still watching it. I am still watching it. So, I got some hate mail recently. I know, this is all new to me. I'm getting hate mail now. It's very exciting. So, as you may know, I have launched my own little Iron Age project, Galaxyborn, which is my own space opera universe. I say my own. I think of it more as I am attempting to build something we have lost. I'm attempting to build something we have lost. So at galaxyborn.com, if you go there, it's linked in the description of this stream, you will find my landing page for my campaign. Now, the nature of the hate mail I received was to my support email, which is, I have a little, you know, customer support email, support@swordsandstarships.com. And that is my customer service support channel. So if you need like a refund or something like that, right? Now, which of course you should not require a refund, but if you did, that would be where you go. Now, the hate mail I received said, said, you stole all that artwork. You haven't written any of this. There's no release date. Stop trying to scam incels, you incel. I was like, incorrect on all 4 accounts. But that being said, it did get me thinking. You know, when I started this campaign, my goal was to test an approach using YouTube ads. And so this is really more of a beta launch. This is not a full campaign launch. Right? I'm still testing my ad strategy for this so that I can bring in new traffic. That being said, it got me thinking, you know, I'm nothing if not a man with a work ethic. And so I said, you know, you're right. There should be a release date, a hard, fast, firm release date. And so there you have it. It's right there. Episode 1 releases August 21st, 2023. Now, Volume 1 of Galaxyborn, which you see right here. Here it is. This is the cover of the book, Galaxyborn, Volume 1. This is going to be the first 4 episodes of the season arc, right? Now, there's going to be 3 volumes in the season. So, in other words, all 3 volumes complete the first arc of the story. And I am calling this arc the Descent of the Kraid. Now, that being said, I don't like ever leaving people feeling like they're not going to get the value that is being promised. And so, when this countdown strikes 0, episode 1 will be released. Anyone who supports the project as of now will get an ebook of the full first episode. That will be an early release. This is not the full volume, but it is the first episode, the premiere episode. I want you to see what you're supporting. And so it will be an ebook format. A sample of episode 1 will be available for all visitors of the page and who put in their email. That will also be available at this time, a sample of it. So anyway, you know what? I look at it like this. Haters are motivation. Haters just motivate me to work harder. And so I am grateful. I am grateful to the hater that believes all of my art is stolen and that nothing is written. That's also incorrect. I am grateful to the challenge because, you know, the fact of the matter is Galaxy-Born, you know, I have no problem with Indiana Jones existing. I have no problem with the last, I should be careful here. I have no problem with new garbage existing, okay? Someone wants to go out and make the wokest movie of the woke ever. I have no problem with it. And if it's successful, fine. Still doesn't make it a good story. I just tend to think things are not successful, which are not well written. You know, so I have no quarrel with anyone else's story. I am here saying I want to create something new that creates the kind of story that I believe people like, that I certainly would like, and I am okay with other people not liking it. I am definitely okay with that. I will always be happy to listen to feedback. So for me, you know, I feel sorry for haters because, you know, haters of Eric July and ISOM, it's like, what are you so angry about? You don't have to buy it. You don't have to like ISOM. Nobody's saying there's anything wrong with not liking ISOM. It's fine. So there's something else bothering these folks. And what I think it is that their woke project is failing. The attempt to rewrite reality, to rewrite history, and to rewrite culture, to reflect things that are simply not true, is being rejected by audiences. And it's frankly pissing them off. And that's fine. I am happy to be a lightning rod. I will continue to be. But I also take the challenge. So challenge accepted. There it is. Galaxyborn.com. Now, about the artwork. So as you see here, you know, this is my landing page, and I built a story. I built a story around it. I've revised this. Starfury says, will you be shipping to the UK? That, I will do my best. I will do my best to ship to the UK. Yes, that is my plan. I plan to be able to ship there. So just to be clear, this release date is for the early access to the ebook episode 1. The full volume 1 will not be released until later. Actually, I actually meant to add another date here for the full volume. I will add that. But in any case, I have some artwork here to represent the Kraid. Now this is licensed for use on this page. So I do not own this artwork, but it is licensed. I paid for it. So I am basically giving you full transparency here. This is a promotional image. I intend to have original artwork of the Kraid in the book. So that will be there. But while I am building this campaign, I'm using this artwork as a stand-in, which I have licensed to use for that purpose. So this is the logline of the novel. When a plague of insectoid creatures threaten to consume all life in the galaxy, Captain Cole Sadler must lead a mutinous crew in a battered starship into hostile space. This is actual commissioned original artwork that I own, and that is, in fact, the canon ship in the story, and this will be featured artwork I do own. To deliver humanity's only hope, a mad Rakoi war criminal. This is also artwork I have licensed for use on this page. However, I intend to use it as the basis for original commissioned artwork as well, because I love this armor design. And actually, I plan on reaching out to this artist directly to see if we can make a deal, because I would love to get more artwork from this artist. I love artists. I want them to succeed and be prosperous. Swords and Starships will always support independent artists. And I have, by the way, if you check out my books, Blood and Oak, that artwork on the cover, I paid a pretty penny for that artwork by Pablo Fernandez. He lives in Spain, I believe, and is an excellent artist. So, in any case, moving on. So I have some background on the story. It takes place in the year 2234 in the United Commonwealth of Stars. So yes, this is artwork I own, and I plan to commission more from this artist. This is my characters. Captain Cole Sadler, born and raised in space, spent his whole life traveling the stars. His father was a brave Marine killed in action before he was born. His mother, a decorated Navy officer in her own right. The pain of growing up without ever knowing his father drove him to addiction in his youth, and with the help of his grandfather, Charlton Sadler, he came back from the darkness of his teenage years and went on to win the Strider Medal of Valor and is one of the best officers in the Star Navy. First Officer, Commander Braxton Cross. This is licensed art for this page only. There will be a representation of him in the book, however. A brave Marine and devout Christian who does what it takes to save lives and complete the mission and has been Captain Cole Sadler's trusted number one for years. He grew up in the Texas Republic, one of the few countries from Earth, notice that, to leave the Earth Democratic Union to join the United Commonwealth of Stars. Earth-born officers are still relatively few in the Commonwealth, where most are born of the colonies. His naturally peaceful demeanor means he doesn't mind the askance looks. He always looks after his brothers and sisters in the trenches. Third Officer, Lieutenant, actually, strike that. She is the fourth highest ranking officer on the ship. Lieutenant Commander Maybe, a brash Caprian fighter pilot who lives by the seat of her pants, is quick to draw her scorcher, which is slang for a particle pistol, but always takes care of her wingman. She prefers a good fight to the minutia of leadership, but when the crew of Independence could no longer endure their suffering under the former Captain Treadaway's leadership, she led the mutiny that removed him. She is slow to trust Sadler, who is the new captain. Her species, the Caprians, hail from a planet with a long day-night cycle and have adapted to hibernate. They are the first alien species to make contact with humanity and are known for their altruistic nature, sprawling, tight-knit families, and rich culture of art, theater, and literature. This is commissioned, well, I should say, this is licensed artwork that I do own the rights for and will be available in the books and will be a part of the actual product. So this is, I made a deal with the artist who created this, Telthona, and I have a license deal where she still owns the original artwork. However, I have licensed this artwork for use in this world. And then she also did this piece as well, and I have the same deal on this piece, which is Dr. Bando Belindo, the genius Unda doctor who traded the life of famous scientist for combat medic so he could explore the stars and seek out new life forms. His sickbay is part holistic medical spa, part exobiology lab. The unchallenging work of tending to the medical needs of the crew suits him fine, as it allows him to explore the stars and study the cultures of his patients. His species, the Unda, hailed from a rare star system with 3 habitable planets. Their homeworld is a paradise of civil liberty and widespread wealth. Their tradecraft, civic knowledge, and enlightened diplomacy made possible the peaceful cooperation of multiple species and the founding of the United Commonwealth of Stars. So they really are meant to be a very enlightened and egalitarian culture. You know, the Caprians I view as kind of the passionate, they're sort of a hybrid of a passionate warrior and artistic culture. Flight Lieutenant Farah Fayed. This is licensed only for this page. The chief pilot of the Independence at age 24. She's an obsessive overachiever who makes no secret of her ambitions to command a ship of her own. Her remarkable piloting skill results in feats of aviation that are famous in the fleet, but her impatience to rise in the ranks often ruffles feathers in the fleet. She's an isolated workaholic one minute, a party-hard troublemaker the next. Then we have Paladin Grifgor, a Rokoi warrior forced to live among humans who distrust him in order to complete a mission of great importance to his spiritual leader, the Pontifex. During the Xeno War, his clan opposed his own people's attempt to enslave humanity under the leadership of Imperator Romados. As a result, The evil warlord Romados nuked Grifgor's home planet, Spirius, from orbit. He's neither enemy nor friend of the Commonwealth. He cares only for the success of his mission. Legend has it, his species, the Rakoi, fled their homeworld millennia ago after an invasion by a highly advanced race. Without any faster-than-light technology, the Rakoi managed to settle hundreds of colonies throughout our spiral arm of the galaxy over the course of 18,000 years. This artwork I have licensed with the original artist, Jeff Murchie. You can see his work on ArtStation. I hope to license more from him. He's a brilliant artist. And I have the same deal with him as with the other artists to use this character in the world, in this universe. He owns the original rights to the artwork. And so there you have it. So all of the artwork you see here, with the exception of this in the bottom right-hand corner, is my artwork. I own it and commissioned it. It is all, I have the rights to use it, and this is the actual cover. So yes, so the actual logo, the cover, I commissioned another artist in Turkey, actually, to create the lettering and the original design of the guns and the helmet there. So all of that, I own the rights to. There it is. Ain't that beautiful? It's going to be a 6x9 gloss paperback cover when it is released. 4 action-packed episodes. And this artwork I licensed for use on this page to represent what I want to do on the inside of the book. So I'm going to be working on getting those 10 original pencil illustrations as well, as a nod to graphic novels and classic pulp serials. So actually, and here you can see an image of the map. I also have a galaxy map that I had commissioned as well. Same artist who did the ship, actually, did the galaxy map. And illustrations of all 5 homeworlds. Well, actually, 3 homeworlds and 2 colony worlds that are central to the plot. So there you have it. So, yes, my starter support level, $39. And you basically get access to... Sorry, and I will stop shilling my stuff after this. The Galaxy-Born Volume 1 paperback will be shipped to you. You will get 4 action-packed episodes, 10 original pencil illustrations in the interior. You will also get the digital Galaxy-Born Compendium, which is sort of a codex, a lore book that sort of explains backstory and technology and the characters with original artwork in it. You'll get early access to the digital ebook. So that means before the actual hardcover ships, you're going to have access to the ebook to read it while you're waiting for it to be delivered. So that is a perk you get with the early access with the $39. And then you also get 5 high-res digital lithographs of the art optimized for printing. So you can print these out. You can make them as posters, whatever you want to do. And then there will be other perks available above the $39 level that are offered once you purchase the base package. So so you can actually get hard copies of the compendium, etc. So I'm starting with this. I have much more on the way. I just want to get this rolling. You know, I'm a great fan of entrepreneurialism. And sometimes you just got to roll with it and just get started on something. So all that is promised will be delivered. And I just wanted to take the time to, I recognize that, you know what? One of the lessons I've learned from Eric July and the launch of ISOM is I greatly admire his transparency. I really do. So I appreciate your indulgence. I wanted to take that time to be on record saying, I have rights to use all of this artwork. I would never take artwork without someone's permission ever, because I value the work of creators, especially when it's good work. And what you get in these books will be legit artwork. So, thank you, my dear sailors of Starnuts, for indulging me. Star Fury says, the Doctor has an Enterprise Floxian feel. Yes, he does. Phlox is one of my favorite characters ever. Definitely. Probably one of the best Doctors ever in the Star Trek canon. I loved Dr. Phlox in Enterprise. That being said, Bando's a little bit different. He's but yes, he's definitely a very Phloxian type character. So there you have it. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with a little dose of the familiar? Have we covered the stack of stuff in its entirety? I believe we have. Oh, I did have this this great tweet from Gary. Might as well call this out while I have you. Yes, here we go. So Gary over at Nerdrotic, Hat Tip Nerdrotic, had this very good tweet. Upon further review, modern corporate critics now consider Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom QAnon adjacent. Oh, yes, that's a good one. Because he's rescuing the children, don't you know? So, yes, and another cool thing, too, if you go to Twitter, at the SNS channel is the Swords and Starships channel. So I now post my videos on Twitter as well, and I'm working on hopefully getting to where I can multi-stream to this, Rumble, and Twitter. I think Twitter is about to be an awesome platform, so I am also building Swords and Starships on Twitter at the SNS channel. On Twitter, it's linked in the description as well. Check it out. And yes, so thanks for spending a Sunday with me, my dear sailors and starnauts, my treasured audience, lurking, rewatching, or participating in the chat. We have gained 100 subscribers in the last 72 hours. Did you know that? This channel, well, it helps. It helps when your captain gets his ass out of his captain's chair and starts posting some videos. It helps. It definitely helps. So, 100 subscribers in the last 3 days. We are growing fast. Our next stop is 10,000. Our next stop is 10,000 subscribers. There will be ever better content. Let me know, what you think. Heck, I hope eventually someday to have other voices on this channel opposing views. I'm not ready for that exactly yet, but I'm hoping to have that. Swords and Starships, it hosts me, Captain Garrett. And Captain Garrett has many different opinions, but Swords and Starships has no opinion other than good storytelling is good storytelling. And we here at Swords and Starships know it when we see it. And it is our endeavor to restore that. So please like, subscribe, share the channel. Let me know what you'd like to see more of. I'm working on some more Stargate SG-1 for you. And go see Sound of Freedom. What an epic film. Absolutely incredible. Couldn't believe it. Totally shocked. I could not believe how good that film was. I expected it to be, I expected a little bit of clunky dialogue. I expected a kind of heavy-handed moral message. I suspected there might be some elements of it that would strain credulity, but its heart would be in the right place. I am stunned by the absolute brilliant filmmaking that I saw there. That is an excellent film. And it is not partisan. It is not political. It is not propaganda. It is flat out just a story about something that is really happening and a man that is really fighting it. Whatever you feel about his views or the views of the actor, the film does not have a political opinion. The film is simply showing you a story about something very important. So Sound of Freedom is a Swords and Starships Iron Age film, and I wholly endorse it. So, that is our show for this Sunday, the year of our Lord 2023, July 9th. So, until next time, my dear sailors and starnauts, this is your Captain Garrett saying, I will see you out there.